Hey yo, football fans, it's another great year. Fantasy football fiends, grab your beer. Giving you the best draft tips for all your picks. Starts and sits to the waiver wire fix. From my drafts galore to stats that's hardcore. Triple F does it all, have y'all screaming more. So sit back, relax, let the experts prevail. JT Magnum, Siggy Guns never fail. What's up, fantasy football fans? My name is JT Magnum, and welcome back to 2015 Fantasy Football Fiends. I'm going to do my top 20 breakout players. And Siggy's not here once again. He will be joining me about 2 weeks prior to the season, maybe a week prior to the season. We're going to be doing our complete rankings. We'll do a mock draft, things like that. And if you haven't watched the first two videos, I did my top 20 rookies, I did my top 20 sleepers, and now we're doing the top 20 breakout players. Magnum Sports Network underneath there, or magnumsportsnetwork.com. Feel free to go to that channel, not channel, but website. Feel free to bookmark it. That's where all the updates and everything's going to be. It's still under construction, but feel free to bookmark it. Stay tuned for more fantasy football updates on there, along with NFL blogs, NBA blogs, sports shows, sports gaming stuff. Everything you want in sports related pretty much is going to be on there as much as I can. And the new Twitter, at JT_Magnum816. That's all my sports related tweets. I'm separating Optimus Magnum and JT Magnum because Optimus Magnum is my gaming name. JT Magnum is my sports name. So that's what I go for, at least. That's my sports handle, actually. So here we go. Let's do the breakout players. Another thing with fantasy football, I'm not 100% correct. I've said it before. I've helped people win some championships. I've won a lot of championships myself in fantasy football. I like to do this to help you guys. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of thinking, a lot of my own, bold predictions and things like that. So far they've worked out for the most part, so it's helped. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's not always the best info. I would suggest do your own research. Let us guide you a little bit, but if you don't feel comfortable with some of the things that we're doing, because, fantasy football is money related sometimes, not just prize related. But, make your own decision, do some research, find out how players play against certain teams, find out how defenses fare against certain teams, against certain situations. There's all kinds of ways to just have fun with it and just, do your research. But we're here to guide you. We're here to help you out. We're here to, throw some names out there that we think will do well. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help. So, sometimes we help, sometimes we don't. Most times lately, especially the first 2 years, most times we've helped. And so that's a great feeling to have somebody. And I've had numerous people message me telling me, thank you. You helped me win a fantasy title this year. I'm looking forward to next year. And just hearing that makes me feel so good. And of course there's the opposite, there are people that hate on you and things like that, but that's how it is. That's part of fantasy football. So everybody's got their own opinion. So anyways, let's do the top 20 breakout players. We're going to start at number 20. We got CJ Spiller at number 20 on the Saints. And we got number 19, Zach Ertz from the Eagles. Number 18, Teddy Bridgewater from the Vikings. Number 17, Marquise Lee of the Jaguars. Number 16, Vernon Davis from the 49ers, trying to make a comeback, basically, after a horrible, horrible season. Believe me, anything better than 25 catches and 200 yards or 216 yards is a breakout season for him, especially after last year. And he's looked great in camp so far, so we'll see. But I'm going to talk about CJ Spiller at number 20. CJ Spiller has been one of those guys that every year everybody's saying he's going to break out. Everybody's saying he's going to do well. I think this year, finally, he has a quarterback. Finally, he has a guy that he doesn't have to see those 8-man fronts anymore. In Buffalo, when he was playing there, that's all he saw. He was injured a lot because they're using him up the middle. I think they weren't utilizing him as well as they could. He actually got a 1,000-yard season in Buffalo and still managed another 900-yard season. So CJ Spiller is one of those guys that just shifty, speed, he can run inside for the most part, but he's more of one of those shifty outside, using in the screen game kind of backs. He's great catching the ball. And what is that? And what does Drew Brees do? Loves those kind of running backs. So I think he's going to fit that Darren Sproles role that New Orleans missed last year, especially with Darren Sproles gone and he was on in Philadelphia. CJ Spiller is going to become that Darren Sproles role that Drew Brees loves, and I think they're going to utilize him well. And he's going to get a lot of touches. He's going to get a lot of yards rushing and receiving, especially with Ingram there, because with Ingram running the ball, CJ Spiller and Ingram in the same backfield, you can split CJ Spiller out. He's a hard cover for any linebacker or any safety. or even for a corner in that right, because it's hard to tackle him. So we'll see what happens with that. But I really love C.J. Spiller as a matchup nightmare on the Saints. So moving on, we're going to talk about number 15. We got DeAndre Hopkins from the Texans, Darren McFadden from the Cowboys, and I'm saying that because, you know, if he wins the job. Trey Mason from the Rams at number 13. Number 12, Josh Hill from the Saints. Number 11, Colin Kaepernick from the 49ers. And I'm not going to talk about that, obviously. I'm a 49ers fan. That's a topic for another conversation. We'll talk about that later. But Darren McFadden, that's who I'll talk about. I really like him to start this year over Joseph Randle. I think he's going to get the start. He just seems to be the more talented, bigger back. And I really like his game, especially with that Cowboys offensive line. You saw DeMarco Murray last year run through gaping holes. They're the best line, they're the best offensive line in football right now at the moment. Numerous number one picks on that offensive line, and I just think I can run through that offensive line at the moment, and you know I can't get much farther after I get through the hole, but I could run through that offensive line at the moment. That's how good that offensive line is. And Darren McFadden is going to get over 1,000 yards definitely this year. He might even get 1,400 to 1,500 yards. You know, he's not going to get that 1,800, 1,900 range like DeMarco Murray did, but he doesn't need that many carries to do so. He's got a lot of speed. He's one of those guys that if he stays injury free, he can definitely be a beast for the Cowboys this year. So let's move it on. Number 10, Kelvin Benjamin from the Panthers. Terrence Williams from the Cowboys. C.J. Anderson from the Broncos, the running back. Andre Williams, the running back from the Giants, and Sam Bradford at number 6 for the Eagles. I talked about him in the show before. He's one of my top sleepers. He actually was the number 1 sleeper this year for me. But I think he's also going to be one of the top breakout players of the year. Obviously, with his stats going to be piled up with Chip Kelly's offense. But let's talk about Andre Williams from the Giants. This is a guy that, if you remember him, he's a stud running back. Had some fumbling problems, and you know that, Tom Coughlin doesn't really like that. He's not really big on fumbles. Will take you out of the game. But if he shores up those fumbling problems, if he can unseat Rashad Jennings as a starter, this guy can be a beast for the Giants. He's big, one of those big, like, he's short, but he's like a big, bruising, just got huge arms. If he can just, like I said, if he can hold on to that ball, this guy could be a stud. I mean, he ran for over 700 yards last year with Rashad Jennings hurt. Had some pretty big games for the Giants, and he's got a lot of speed. So I really like him this year, especially if he gains that starter spot. If he shows that he can hold on to that ball, shows Tom Coughlin he can pass protect, and he's a guy that he's definitely a guy to watch for. So let's go on. Number 5 to number 1, we got number 5, Jordan Matthews from the Eagles. Number 4, Eli Manning of the Giants. Number 3, Mark Ingram from the Saints. And number 2, Matthew Stafford from the Lions. And number 1, Jeremy Hill from the Broncos. I know it's not much of a breakout, especially he had like 1,200 yards rushing last year. But this is a guy that, him and Giovanni Bernard shared a lot of the load last year. And Giovanni Bernard was one of the guys that pretty much started at the beginning of the year. And everybody had him as a stud back in Cincinnati. And Jeremy Hill just basically throws him aside, becomes a starter, and just runs wild in the NFL. And I think he's the type of back that he can get, especially at the Cincinnati, with the passing game they have with Dalton and A.J. Green, Marvin Jones. I think that he's not going to see that many. You're not going to see that many 8-man fronts, especially when you got an A.J. Green on the right side of you and then a pretty good, talented wide receiver, Marvin Jones, on the left. You're not going to see that many 8-man fronts, and I think if they run the ball a lot more, Jeremy Hill's going to have a breakout year. And by breakout, I mean over 1,500, 1,600 yards. He could even get possibly 2,000 if they rush him a lot. And he's got the size, the speed, and he's able to carry that kind of a load. So I really like him to get a lot of 10-plus touchdowns. I really like him to get over 1,500 yards this year, and I think he's one of the most breakout running backs of the year, for sure. And sorry, there's a train in the background. But that's it for my top 20 breakout players. Let me know who you think. If I didn't mention anybody you like, let me know who you think is going to break out this year in the NFL. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the picks that I picked for breakout players. And let me know how you think they're going to do. I always love it when you guys comment in the comment section, ask me questions, or basically challenge me to why I picked this person. That's what makes fantasy football fun. All the opinions, all the chatter, and all the just talk about fantasy football. It gets me all riled up. I love it. So anyways, Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. If you like the content, like I said, go to magnumsportsnetwork.com, subscribe to that, or bookmark it or whatever you want. I'm going to be putting a lot of fantasy football updates on there. Siggy will be with me soon in the next couple of weeks before the fantasy football season starts, actually, before the NFL season starts, to give you his rankings and his stuff, and we're going to do mock drafts, like I said. And stay tuned for a lot more from MagnumSportsNetwork.com, especially fantasy-wise, because this is the best time of the year. This is the time of the year I get really excited. I love giving you guys information. I love fantasy football. It's just so much fun, and I love bringing you guys the content, all right? So take care. JT Magnum signing out. The next video will be the top 10 NFL busts this year for fantasy football. So stay tuned for that, all right? So for JT Magnum Fantasy Football Fiends, I'm out. Peace, y'all.